A group of friends arrives at the edge of a dense, sprawling forest just as the sun hangs high in the sky, casting warm golden light across the landscape. The forest stretches endlessly in every direction, its towering trees swaying gently in the soft breeze. The air is crisp and carries the earthy scent of moss, fallen leaves, and the faint aroma of wildflowers hidden among the undergrowth. Birds chirp melodiously, flitting between the branches, while small woodland creatures scurry quietly through the foliage, creating a sense of life and movement in the otherwise tranquil setting. The friends are animated, laughing and chatting as they trek deeper into the forest, their excitement growing with every step. Each carries a backpack stuffed with supplies, food, water, camping gear, and flashlights. They are on a weekend getaway, seeking adventure and a break from their daily routines. As they move along a narrow path, shafts of sunlight filter through the dense canopy above, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. The atmosphere feels magical yet slightly mysterious, as though the forest itself is watching their every step. Eventually, they stumble upon a small clearing, a perfect spot for their campsite. The ground is soft with grass, and the surrounding trees form a natural barrier, providing a sense of shelter and seclusion. They set down their packs and work together to pitch their tents, their camaraderie evident in shared laughter and teasing as they fumble with poles and stakes. Once the tents are up, they gather dry wood and light a campfire, its warm glow mingling with the late afternoon sunlight. Smoke curls lazily upward, and the flickering firelight casts playful shadows across the clearing. Though everything seems peaceful, there is an unspoken tension among them, a faint awareness of the forest's depth and isolation. The forest is beautiful, but it holds secrets, and as the friends settle into their campsite, the first hints of unease quietly settle over them, foreshadowing the strange and haunting events yet to come. As the day slowly fades, the sun dips toward the horizon, casting long, stretching shadows across the forest floor. The vibrant greens of the trees take on deeper, muted hues, and a golden-orange glow filters through the branches, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. The friends begin to feel the forest's quiet settling around them. The cheerful daytime sounds of birds and insects start to fade, replaced by an occasional rustle of leaves and the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. The forest seems to hold its breath, as though aware that night is approaching. The friends gather around their campfire, which crackles and pops as small sparks rise into the dimming sky. The warm orange light contrasts sharply with the growing shadows of the surrounding trees, creating pockets of darkness that seem to move just beyond the edge of the firelight. They sit on logs and blankets, talking and joking, trying to keep their spirits light, though a subtle tension begins to creep in. Every so often, a branch snaps or a distant sound drifts through the trees, causing them to glance nervously into the shadows. One friend fetches water from a small stream nearby, stepping lightly over roots and stones. The journey feels longer in the fading light, and the rustling sounds of the forest seem louder and closer. For the first time, the friends notice how isolated they are. There is no road, no distant houses, only the dense, looming forest surrounding them. The clearing that felt safe during the day now feels more fragile and temporary, a tiny island of warmth and light amid the encroaching darkness. As the sun disappears completely, leaving only the faint glow of twilight, the forest transforms. The shadows deepen, the air grows cooler, and the first whispers of night seem to hum faintly through the trees. It is in this eerie, suspended moment between day and night that the friends sense the forest's hidden presence, something watching, waiting, and ready to reveal itself as darkness falls. As darkness slowly settles, the forest takes on a strange and almost otherworldly feel. The cheerful noises of the day, birds chirping, leaves rustling gently in the wind, fade completely, replaced by the faintest, eeriest sounds that seem to drift through the trees. At first, the friends dismiss these noises as the normal creaks and whispers of a forest at night. But soon, subtle, almost human-like whispers begin to echo from different directions, blending with the rustling of leaves and the distant crack of twigs. The voices are faint, unintelligible at first, like whispers carried by the wind, Yet they carry an unsettling tone that makes the friends pause and glance nervously around the darkening clearing. One of the friends jokes nervously, trying to lighten the mood, but even the laughter sounds hollow and uneasy against the backdrop of the forest's growing silence. The shadows around the campfire flicker, elongating and twisting across the trees, giving the impression of shapes moving just beyond the firelight. Every so often, a sound, perhaps a distant footstep, perhaps nothing, draws their attention to the dense darkness beyond the clearing. The sense of isolation begins to weigh on them, turning their excitement into a quiet tension. The friends huddle closer together, their conversation growing quieter as the whispers seem to shift and move, circling them in ways that make it impossible to pinpoint their source. Even the forest floor, littered with fallen leaves and twigs, seems alive, as though each sound is amplified, each shadow somehow reaching toward them. The clearing that had seemed safe and cheerful during the day now feels like a fragile island surrounded by the unseen and unknown. By the time they glance around again, the forest seems to be watching them. The whispering grows more distinct, though still unintelligible, carrying a tone of warning or perhaps invitation. It becomes clear that this night, this forest, holds secrets that the friends were never meant to encounter. The atmosphere shifts, tense and foreboding, marking the first true step into the haunting mystery that awaits them. As the night deepens, one of the friends decides to leave the warmth of the campfire to fetch water from a nearby stream. The path is narrow and uneven, littered with roots, fallen branches, and scattered stones. With each step, the forest seems to grow darker and quieter, amplifying every small sound: the snap of a twig beneath a boot, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of an unseen creature. The friend moves cautiously, flashlight in hand, the beam cutting through the thick shadows but only illuminating a small circle of the forest at a time. As they move further from the group, the faint whispers begin to sound closer, almost surrounding them. It's difficult to tell whether the sounds are coming from behind a tree, above in the branches, or just carried by the wind. A shiver runs down their spine, and they pause, straining to hear. Something seems off. The air feels heavier, colder, as if the forest itself is pressing in. The rustling of the leaves and the distant, indistinct whispers seem to respond to every movement, growing louder when the friend stops and softer when they start moving again, creating an unsettling, almost sentient rhythm. Meanwhile, the friends left at the campsite notice the absence and begin to worry. They call out, their voices slightly trembling, but only the wind and faint whispers answer. From the lone friend's perspective, every tree now seems to shift slightly. Every shadow appears alive, stretching and twisting in ways that make the familiar forest path feel entirely alien. There is a growing sense of being watched, though no eyes are visible. By the time the friend reaches the stream, the whispers have intensified into almost coherent murmurs, surrounding them, teasing the edge of comprehension. The forest no longer feels safe or welcoming. It is alive, aware, and waiting. This simple act of stepping away from the fire has pulled them deeper into the forest's mysterious and haunting presence, setting the stage for the events that are about to unfold. As night fully settles, the forest transforms into a place of shadows and whispers. The once faint, distant sounds that hinted at the forest's hidden presence have grown louder, closer, and more deliberate. The friends huddled around the campfire notice that the air feels colder, heavier, and almost charged, as though the very trees are alive and watching their every movement. The whispers, once mere murmurs, now carry a strange rhythm, rising and falling in an eerie cadence, almost like voices speaking in a language just beyond understanding. The friend who had gone to fetch water is still at the stream, standing frozen as the whispers seem to swirl around them. Each sound is amplified in the darkness, every snap of a branch or rustle of leaves echoing unnaturally. They strain their ears, trying to locate the source, but the voices are everywhere and nowhere at once. Panic creeps in. The simple task of collecting water now feels like stepping into the heart of an invisible maze. The forest no longer seems empty. It feels inhabited by something unseen, something that moves silently among the trees. Back at the campfire, the remaining friends grow uneasy as they hear the approaching footsteps. Or perhaps it is something else. The whispers now seem to circle the campsite, teasing and mocking, and the shadows beyond the firelight appear to shift unnaturally. Each friend's imagination begins to twist reality, making familiar shapes seem sinister. The comfort of the firelight feels fragile, a fragile barrier against the encroaching darkness. A sudden snap of a branch draws everyone's attention, and the friends realize the forest is closing in around them. What had started as a fun camping trip is now a tense struggle between curiosity and fear. The forest's hidden voices are no longer subtle. They demand attention, and the friends begin to sense that the night has only just begun. Every whisper is a warning, every shadow a hint of the danger that lurks deeper in the forest, waiting to reveal itself. Tension grips the campsite as the friends begin to realize the gravity of their situation. One of them, let's say Sarah, suddenly notices that her friend, who had gone to fetch water, has not returned. She calls out, her voice trembling slightly, but the only reply is the faint, eerie rustle of leaves and the distant whispers that now echo more insistently through the forest. Panic sets in as the rest of the group realizes someone is missing. The remaining friends grab flashlights and cautiously venture into the darkness, their beams cutting through the thick shadows. Every step they take seems to awaken the forest around them. Twigs snap, leaves rustle, and the faint whispers grow louder, as if the forest is responding to their search. The familiar forest path now feels alien, each tree a looming figure, each shadow a possible threat. The clearing that had seemed safe earlier in the evening now feels fragile and isolated, a tiny island of firelight surrounded by an endless sea of darkness. As they move deeper, the friends notice subtle signs that something is not normal. Footprints appear where none should exist. Branches seem bent unnaturally, as if guiding or misleading them. The whispers sometimes mimic their voices, calling their names in soft, distorted tones that make them flinch. Fear mixes with confusion. The friends struggle to tell reality from illusion. Sarah calls again, more urgently, her flashlight beam scanning the forest floor and tree trunks. Shadows seem to shift, moving just out of the light's reach. Every rustle, every whisper makes their hearts race faster. The forest has become a living maze, and the missing friend is somewhere inside it, surrounded by the unseen forces that seem to watch, wait, and manipulate every sound and movement. In this moment, the friends understand that the forest is no longer just a backdrop. It is an active, almost sentient presence. The simple act of searching has drawn them into its mystery, and the night has begun to tighten its grip, making escape, or even understanding, the forest's secrets increasingly difficult. The friends press onward, their flashlights cutting narrow beams through the thick darkness, yet every shadow seems alive, shifting just beyond the reach of light. The forest has transformed into a labyrinth of looming trees and twisted roots. The whispers, once distant and subtle, now swirl around them, sometimes imitating their own voices in soft, mocking tones. Each friend feels an invisible pressure, a sensation that the forest itself is closing in, guiding their path, or perhaps leading them astray. Every movement becomes deliberate, cautious. A branch snaps unexpectedly, causing them to jump, their hearts pounding in their chests. They glance at one another, noticing fear mirrored in wide eyes and trembling hands. The clearing they left behind feels impossibly far, and the dim glow of their campfire now seems like a distant memory. Even the ground beneath them seems unpredictable. Roots rise like jagged obstacles, and the whispering winds create illusions of movement that make familiar shapes appear monstrous. Suddenly, a shadow shifts at the edge of their light, too large and too fluid to be any ordinary animal. It slides between the trees with unnatural grace, vanishing when they attempt to focus on it. The whispers intensify, rising and falling like a haunting melody just out of comprehension, and the friends can't tell whether it is guiding them toward their missing companion or toward some unknown danger. Fear and urgency mingle as they continue through the forest, each step heavier than the last. Their voices echo in the darkness as they call out, but the only response is the layered chorus of whispers, indistinct yet unmistakably intelligent. The forest feels sentient now, alive, its presence enveloping them. Every shadow, every sound, is a reminder that they are no longer merely visitors. They are part of the forest's domain, vulnerable to its hidden, watchful eyes. The night deepens, and with it, the sense that the forest is drawing them into a world from which there may be no escape. The friends stumble upon an old, abandoned structure hidden deep within the forest, a small cabin, half collapsed and overgrown with moss and vines. Its presence is sudden, almost as if the forest had been guiding them here all along. The whispers are louder now, echoing off the wooden walls and rustling through the broken roof. Shadows flicker unnaturally inside, stretching across the ground and walls, as if the cabin itself were alive, breathing with a hidden consciousness. Cautiously, the friends step closer. The smell of damp wood and decay fills the air, mingling with the earthy scent of the surrounding forest. Their flashlights illuminate warped floorboards and broken furniture, and they notice strange marks carved into the walls, symbols and shapes that seem familiar, yet alien. The whispers pulse rhythmically, almost speaking, beckoning them further into the darkness. Each friend feels an increasing sense of dread, but cannot stop themselves from moving forward. Suddenly, a shadow moves across the far end of the cabin, swift and silent. The friends freeze, exchanging nervous glances, unsure if what they saw was real or just a trick of the flickering light. One of them, braver, or perhaps more desperate, calls out, but the response is not a voice, but a crescendo of whispers, layered and chaotic, circling them from all directions. Every instinct screams to run, yet their curiosity and concern for the missing friend keep them rooted. The forest outside feels distant now, as though the cabin exists in its own reality, separate from the world they knew. The whispers grow louder, synchronized with the shadows' movements, creating the illusion of figures just beyond reach. Fear and fascination collide, each heartbeat echoing in their chests. The night is no longer just dark. It is alive, an active force surrounding them, holding them on the edge between discovery and danger. The friends realize that what lies inside the cabin may explain the whispers, or it may trap them forever within the forest's secrets. Inside the cabin, the friends finally notice a central object that seems to be the source of the forest's mysterious whispers. On a rotting wooden table lies an old, weathered artifact, perhaps a carved stone, a twisted piece of wood, or an ancient mask, its surface etched with strange symbols that glow faintly in the flashlight beams. The markings seem alive, shifting subtly as they stare, almost as if the artifact is aware of their presence. The whispers crescendo, forming a pattern of voices, chanting words that feel familiar yet impossible to understand. Drawn closer by fear and curiosity, the friends realize the artifact may hold the key to the missing companion's disappearance. One of them reaches out to touch it, hesitating as the whispers intensify, surrounding them in a cacophony of overlapping sounds. The shadows in the corners of the room stretch and writhe, reacting to each movement. The forest outside feels suspended, silent, as if all its life has been pulled into the cabin. Every instinct warns them to flee, yet the need to understand, and perhaps save their friend, keeps them rooted. Suddenly, the symbols on the artifact seem to pulse, and a cold wind sweeps through the cabin, extinguishing one of their flashlights. The remaining beams flicker across the walls, revealing fleeting images, possibly memories, visions, or warnings, of people who had encountered this place before, their faces frozen in fear, their forms disappearing into shadow. A chilling realization dawns. The artifact is a conduit, a link between the forest and the mysterious forces inhabiting it. The friends exchange panicked glances. The whispers are no longer gentle suggestions. They are commands, beckoning them deeper into the forest's secrets. The missing companion's presence feels close, perhaps trapped or calling to them through the artifact. Every heartbeat echoes like a drum in the silence. Every shadow feels intentional. The cabin has revealed its secret, but the price of this knowledge may be far greater than they ever imagined. The friends, hearts pounding, realize that the forest is no longer merely a backdrop. It is an active, malevolent presence. The artifact on the table seems to pulse with energy, drawing their attention, its symbols glowing brighter as if feeding on their fear. The whispers have grown into a chorus, overlapping and layering, now unmistakably calling the name of the missing friend. The realization hits them. The companion is trapped somewhere between the forest and this cabin, caught in whatever supernatural force holds this place together. Desperation drives them to act. One friend reaches for the artifact, hoping to release their missing companion, while another tries to hold them back, fearful of awakening something even worse. Shadows writhe along the walls and floor, responding to every movement. It is as if the forest itself is alive, surrounding the cabin, extending its invisible hands into the hearts of the friends. Panic escalates, and the night seems to stretch endlessly, the darkened trees outside pressing closer, their forms distorted and menacing in the flickering firelight. Suddenly, a shrill scream pierces the air, echoing from somewhere unseen. One friend glimpses a fleeting figure, half visible, half shadow, near the artifact. The missing companion is there, or at least a part of them, caught between the tangible world and the forest's strange dimension. The friends realize that they can either attempt to free them or retreat, but the forest's whispers make the decision almost impossible. Every second they hesitate, the presence grows stronger, more commanding, more dangerous. In a final, chaotic moment, they are forced back toward the clearing. The artifact remains, glowing faintly, as if nothing has happened, the whispers fading but not disappearing entirely. The missing companion is gone, leaving only a faint echo of their voice. The friends reach the campsite, shaken and silent, the night now eerily calm. But even as they gather their belongings to leave, a faint, haunting whisper drifts through the trees. The forest's secret has not been released. It lingers, watching, waiting for the next souls who dare enter its depths.